A long time ago, with the holidays so near, little P. Allen Smith began decorating with cheer.
Not plastic, not lifeless. I want something new, something natural and fresh, like nature would do.
And so began the tradition of fresh greenery at the farm, cut, decorated, and styled, filled with so much charm.
Before we go any further, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Gilbert H. Wild & Son, who've been growing beautiful perennials since 1885. Ralston Family Farms, a farm family producing delicious rice for your table. First Community Bank, whose heart is in the community, as well as Sunpatiens, SuperCal Petunias, and Dragon's Breath Celosia, and Crystal Bridges, Museum of American Art. Check out my website to learn more about the brands we love. Just because the temperatures begin to drop and the seasons change doesn't keep me from entertaining outdoors. Now you may go, well, you're not going to entertain during the winter outside, are you? Well, yes, I think that on those mild days when it's not too cold, it's the perfect opportunity to have friends over and enjoy nature at its best in the winter. But if you do this, there are a few things that you want to keep in mind. It's not like entertaining in the summer. When it's cold outside, people want to be warm on the inside, and there's no better way to do that than with a warm beverage or even soup. I like to put soup in these types of containers where they can just pour it into a cup, and of course I have plenty of cocoa and coffee available to them. For instance, for tonight's party, I've created a rustic and warm environment with my fireplace and some decor that lends itself to the holidays. Now, if you don't have an outdoor fireplace, a fire pit or a chimenea will work equally well. Now, no matter what you do, you can't control Mother Nature. The wind's going to blow no matter what. So I like to use table covers because they have corner seams. You see, this snug fit will keep you from worrying about pinning or clipping them. They're also machine washable. After all, the food's going to spill just like the wind's going to blow. Now, for some of the table decorations, I've kept it really simple, and again in that rustic theme. I took some firewood and cut them at various heights to serve as pedestals for my centerpiece and accents. These, along with the fun holly luminaries, brighten everyone's spirit and blend right into the natural surroundings. And of course, if you're going to have an evening party, lighting is critical. Again, I wanted to keep it as natural as possible, so we used candles, lanterns, the fire from the fireplace, as well as Christmas lights in the shrubbery. I also have a few finger foods like crostani with tapenade, as well as chips and dip. I find it's easier for people to nibble on instead of having lots of plates and flatware. Now for fun, I've created a little garnish bar for those who love hot chocolate. And finally, I've got everyone's favorite, s'mores. I think if your guests know there's going to be a fire, they're probably going to expect s'mores, don't you think? I don't know, maybe I'm just telling myself because I love them so much. So when the temperatures drop, never fear. There are lots of ideas you can use to enjoy that colder weather and create a memorable time with your friends and family. You know, if you're going to have a party after dusk, the way to really make it shine is to add some illumination in some fun and clever ways. Lighting makes all the difference. Now, when I have very little time and I've got to come up with something creative, I'll often turn to this simple idea, which is just a few ingredients and anyone can do it. In fact, it's sort of a just add water technique. I'll show you what I mean in just a moment. This is for the holidays, but you could do this in the summer using the foliage of different types of plants. Since it's the holidays, we're actually going to use some holly berries that I picked just on the hedges. I'm going to take these pieces, which are about 4 to 5 inches long, and I'm going to place them in jars like this. And you can see that I've got a little votive floating in the top. These are staggered heights, which lends, I think, a little more visual interest. But as I mentioned, this is a just add water idea. Just start with some quart jars. You can use fruit jars like I'm using here if you want sort of a rustic country look, and just drop in some of the foliage and berries in this case, and just fill these up like this. And let me just add just a little more here. There we go. And you just want to make sure that the foliage of the plant is just below the rim of the glass jar. All right, now it's just a matter of adding some water. Here we go. So I'm just going to fill this up. Now I do recommend that you thoroughly wash the foliage that you're going to pop in there, because what will happen is that dust or soil can go into solution and it'll settle in the bottom of your jar. And just look how pretty this is. It's very clear and bright and fresh looking. And the last step is simply to take one of these little tea lights and light it, and then just set it afloat in the water. And suddenly you have a very creative light source for your tablescape. Give it a try. It's as simple as adding water. Aunt Jamie, I'm so excited that you agreed to be on the show. Thousands of people have enjoyed your cookies here at the farm.
I think last week I made 38 dozen.
Oh my gosh, that
I was making them in my sleep.
I bet you were. Well, what's wonderful about the way you go about things is you're so methodical, and I think it's a recipe that anybody can follow. Do you mind walking us through it?
Yes, I'm happy to share. The first thing is 2 sticks of butter.
And that's just room temperature?
Room temperature.
Yep.
It has to be softened. This summer I softened it outside, 20 minutes on the deck table.
I bet that's all it took was 20 minutes.
Okay, 1 cup of dark brown sugar. It can be light brown.
Yep.
I really like the richness of the dark brown.
Slightly different
You want to
flavor.
add the white sugar,
Okay.
granulated
so the same
sugar.
amount of white granulated
Yes,
sugar. There we
1
go.
cup.
Okay.
And now turn this on and let it cream. Anything that you do that has a high butter sugar content needs to cream thoroughly. If you're making pie crust or whatever, we add 1 cup of canola.
All right.
Hand me that large brown egg there.
Oh, yeah, from one of our girls.
Came from your farm.
Yeah. There we go.
And this is 1 teaspoon of real vanilla.
Mm-hmm, I can smell it.
I'm going to turn this off for just a second now.
All right, yeah. Now I want you to explain this because I think this is very clever.
This changed my attitude about making 38 dozen cookies a week. This is 4 ingredients: a half cup of coconut, a half cup of chopped pecans, a cup of oatmeal, and a cup of crushed cornflakes, all the stuff that makes them so crunchy. The whole cookie process goes much faster.
How's it looking over there?
Oh, I think it's ready now.
Okay.
I'll turn it off. These have to chill in the refrigerator for about an hour so that it's easy to work with.
Here's 1 batch already done.
Okay. I simply dip the fork into the water
And do a little cross
and
hatch.
press them sort of like we've always done with the peanut butter cookies. When they're flatter, they're crispier.
So Aunt Jamie, how many cookies will this recipe we just did, how many will they make?
It'll make 8 dozen
8,
or
right.
96.
That'll feed a lot of hungry people.
It will.
And so how long in the oven and at what temperature?
At 350, it's about 18 minutes.
Every batch is a winner.
Good. I'm glad you like them.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
When you have friends over and you're decorating for the holidays, it's good to keep everybody in the spirit. So crank up the music and create some delicious refreshments. This is one of the easiest mulled wine recipes you'll ever create, and you cook it in a slow cooker. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it on high, and the first thing we're going to do is take a bottle of red wine. You don't have to use the expensive stuff. With that, I'm going to add 2 cups of apple cider, and then a half a cup of honey. Of course, this honey is from right here on the farm. What you want to do is you want to stir this until the honey completely dissolves in the solution. You'll find this recipe works best if you'll let these 3 ingredients come to a simmer before you begin to add the other things. Now, once that occurs, add 2 sticks of cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of whole allspice berries, a half a teaspoon of whole cloves, a 1/4 teaspoon of grated nutmeg, and then finally 2 other ingredients. You want to add about 4 to 5 sprigs of rosemary. So let me just break these off and drop them in, and a cup of cranberries. I'll let this simmer for a few minutes, and then I'll just turn the dial down to warm and let it sit for about 30 minutes. The reason I do this is that if it's boiling, there tends to be a separation with the apple cider and the wine and so forth. You want it all to stay in solution. Then you can pour it up with all the bits in it, or I tend to like to strain it and then garnish it with a few extra cranberries and some rosemary. It's really good. Now, one thing to keep in mind, I tend to double this recipe, but if you double it, don't double the spices because it makes it really too strong. Give it a try. You're going to really enjoy it. Of course, after any party, there's always the cleanup. But I don't mind. I enjoy sharing my home with family and friends, and I'm sure you feel the same way. They seem to appreciate even the smallest gesture. Hope in today's show you've come away with some ideas that will make your next gathering simple and easy. For Garden Home, I'm Alan Smith. 'Twas the night before Christmas, and all over the farm the animals were resting, curled up and warm. Now Santa's not known to ducks, dogs, and sheep, so all they wished for was a long, restful sleep. The chickens were roosting, dreaming of corn, laced Wyandottes, Buff Orpingtons, and brown Leghorns. In the field, Moose was dozing, more often than not, clearing his mind of his deep donkey thoughts. The ducks were all sleeping, the geese and swans too, all snug in their down, the days swimming through. And I in the farmhouse, in a bright cozy nook, had just settled in with hot tea and a book. When outside the house a car horn was sounded, I went to the window, then stood there astounded. There on the driveway, though I asked, is it real, was a cherry red vet with St. Nick at the wheel.
My sleigh's in the shop,
said Santa quite quick.
Borrowed the wife's. It's got a big kick.
What brings you here, Santa? This is an odd twist. I was worried I'd ended up on your naughty list.
Oh, no, Ellen, you've been rather nice. I'm sure of that fact. I've checked my list twice. A bit bossy, perhaps, but I'll let that one go. You've done plenty this year to help others grow. It's the animals I'm here for, gifts for the whole lot. They've all been so good when others have not.
With no further chat, he set right to work, pulling his bag from the car with a jerk. This bag was magic, that much was clear. He thrust in his hand and presents appeared. For Smudge a new frisbee, for Squeak a red ball, for the turkey's reprieves from being stuffed in the fall. For Amos the rooster, new Argyle socks. Didn't see that one coming, but he'll like them a lot. Trudy the horse got a fat sack of grain. The ducks, tiny sweaters to stay warm when it rains. To every farm creature, from the big to the small, the right gift was given to bring joy to all. And when he was done, St. Nick turned to me.
Here is your present for under the tree.
From his bag he withdrew a bright ribboned gift. I shook it a bit and felt something shift.
No peeking, Alan. You'll just have to sweat. Don't open till Christmas, and it's not Christmas yet.
With that, Santa turned and walked to his ride, dropping in his bag and settled inside.
Good night to you, Alan,
Santa said with a grin.
Be a good boy till it's Christmas again.
Then he fired up his sleigh and was soon lost from sight. Red hat in the breeze, more stops on this night. And I heard him exclaim as he vanished from view,
Merry Christmas to the animals and also to you.
Merry Christmas to you, friends. May the season bring you joy. Lots of sweet dishes and even a toy. Happy New Year as well, and may yours pass without harm. All our best wishes from Moss Mountain Farm. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and be sure to ring the bell for notifications.